It's about forgiveness.
How to hate people less and forgive more. Okay, so this is today's topic. And it was interesting for me because before I went ahead and designed this curriculum, which is a bit all over the place, I ended up being very busy the last couple days and didn't get all of my curriculum in complete order here. So I'll be just sort of going with the flow of where spirit leads me, but I normally do that anyways. What really impressed me was that I went ahead and I posted on social media. I said, what makes you hate people? And it was kind of shocking the way people responded to this. We had two very distinct categories here. Mm-hmm. It was flooded immediately with people who said, well, I never hate. Well, where I came from, I'm not allowed to hate. Well, I never use that word. And I felt energetically from these people that these are the types that will explode and get a bazooka and just go nuts one day. Suppressing hatred is not making it unreal. It's still there. It's okay to talk about this. And just because the word rubs us the wrong way doesn't mean that we should be running from the hatred that builds inside us, from living in stressful conditions with others that are disrespectful all the time. This is your reality here on earth. And it's okay to talk about it, but it's such a shameful, bad word. It was kind of remarkable, some of the responses that we got. Now, we also got a ton of people who went on and spoke very openly about it. They were okay with it. They said, you know what? Here's what I hate. They would say, when somebody does this, when someone makes me feel this way, when I have to be fearful because of another person's actions, whatever it is. And we collected all of those responses and added them to the curriculum today. What was also interesting was that they fell into a couple very distinct categories, okay, that I had already wanted to talk about. So in a minute here, we're going to have Paul speak on what people wrote. I wanted to talk, though, about the concept of unconditional love. Now, a lot of people don't care for this term. They think that it's unrealistic. And what I want to say is this. Unconditional love doesn't have anything to do with the amount of trouble that you have over the course of your life. It doesn't have to do with the amount of attacks or the way people have victimized you. It doesn't have to do with whether or not others ever apologize or show any kind of acceptance, that they show that they have a conscience about what they did. New earrings. These may just have to go. That may happen repeatedly. People don't need to apologize in order for you to forgive. And this is really the place where I think people get stuck. They don't want to let go until justice is served. And the first thing we have to realize is that justice is always in alignment with the universe. We have universal law. And if you understand universal law, you understand that there's a process, sort of like karma. You reap what you sow. You will get back what you put out there. It is an effect. It is very real. And it cannot be manipulated. So waiting on someone to do the right thing, waiting on an opportunity for your past and wounds to be healed, waiting on someone who owes you an apology, or for justice to be served so that you witness it for that other person, is not realistic. We can't wait on that. We have to create a safe level within ourselves of unconditional love, so that while we have boundaries, we are also free and clear of the heaviness that unforgiveness and bitterness creates. So what does unforgiveness and bitterness actually do? Well, this is why it's dangerous to leave in your energy field. It's easy for you to be hurt and wounded and not realize that it's developed into bitterness. You may notice that you're more paranoid than you used to be. You may just be a little bit more harsh with people. You may have a hard outer wall or shell and think that this is a normal reaction to things. But in your mind, you're probably thinking far more negatively than you ever used to. You're not open to new relationships or possibilities, and you've always got your back up, a bit of a chip on your shoulder. What starts to happen as this festers is that it deteriorates your mental health. In the literal sense, people who are full of hatred are mentally unstable. They have mental health problems that can be measured. So you start to go dark mentally. Now, anything that's going on with you mentally is automatically going to affect your emotions. So then we're looking at our sour attitude. We're looking at you feeling bad, depressed, anxious, heavy, sad, maybe more isolated, detached, just this negative attitude that you don't want to engage and try new things. You don't get as much pleasure and enjoyment out of old relationships, the old things you used to enjoy. So we have mental affecting the emotional, and then the emotional affects, I call it your actions, or you could call it your energy field. It's all about what starts to come out of you. So what comes out of you from that point on is affecting your prosperity. Because if you're putting that negative energy out, you're only going to be able to attract back, law of attraction, right? More negative. So you start to attract more negative circumstances, more negative people. Nothing is within the flow anymore of the universe. You're going against the grain. If that stays that way, it is ultimately going to affect your health. So then we have physical problems, a lot of heart issues, blood pressure. We already talked about depression, anxiety. A million different issues are going to stem from that core issue of having a toxic mentality due to bitterness and unforgiveness. So the concept of unconditional love is about freeing yourself from the burden of hate, which is also fear, and showing unconditional love to yourself. Being willing to show unconditional love to others, not necessarily those who have hurt you, but all the other human beings around you who deserve that positive energy from you. So we need to get to that place where it's an automatic reaction that we identify the minute you start to feel angry, the minute you start to feel hate, the minute you start to feel fear because someone's trying to victimize you, you need to catch it right there. The only way to really do that is to become mindful, to be aware of your thoughts, your feelings, your actions throughout the day at all times. To become mindful means that you can be empowered to change your thoughts, to change your feelings, to change your actions and energy output. But those that are just like zombies, just mindlessly absorbing and not caring about what they put back out, you do run the risk of becoming one of these hateful people, even though you didn't start that way. And once your energy output is that toxic and negative, you really don't have much of a chance at healthy prosperity. So this starts to break down your opportunities, possibly even, your money, well-being, networking, everything that we talked about goes downhill. And it's sort of really like the darkness won, isn't it? If we want to look at this almost like, a war between light and dark. We don't want the dark energies of the universe to win. So in a minute here, we're going to have Paul read off the things that people hated the most and what categories they fit in. I want to go down through a couple key things that I had to overcome in my own life that made me hit the ground hard. I fell hard over these situations. I hated some of these incidents for a long time afterward. I became full of hate, and it took me down a very dark road. I had to fight with each one of these situations to get back up, to cleanse it out of my body, to love myself the way I'm deserving of being loved, and to come to a place of unconditional love for others, where I decided I will, without apologies, forgive because it's what's best for me and the world around me. But these were some major challenges, and I couldn't even put them all on here, but here are a couple things that happened to me. I was born into a family with an abusive, physically, mentally abusive, alcoholic parent who beat my mother and my siblings and traumatized us. So I learned at a very young age to be fearful and to start hating. I never felt safe growing up. Then I was the black sheep. I was kicked out young, and I was out on my own at 14. And I got to see what the world was really about, how dark and ugly it really is. It made me very hateful. At 7 years old, I had put a game together with the neighborhood kids. I lived in a community, and I loved putting these kickball games together or hide and go seek. I was always the coordinator. I enjoyed things like that. And I had a lot of friends in that neighborhood. But one day, one of the little boys had gotten out of the game. Someone had thrown a ball and he was out. He went back home crying to his father that I'm the one who called that he was out. His father came and attacked me, referring to me in front of all the other kids in the neighborhood as being a Puerto Rican punk and a dirty spick. Racially attacked me, and my mother ended up in court. So I started to feel that I was the bottom of the barrel, could be attacked for the color of my skin by anyone who felt that they were justified in doing so. And the hate grew bigger. When I was proposed to, I didn't know that my soon-to-be husband was part of a racist family. And one day I heard them say, don't let a beaner in the family. Don't let a spick in the family. And when family photos were taken, they would take my child and incorporate her into the pictures and make sure that I never made it into a family photograph. And the hate grew. I had gone for my journalism degree for 6.5 years, but it took 10 years total to earn that. Now, I came out working and was doing well, but Spirit had asked me to start doing psychic mediumship readings for the public at the same time. And it broke my heart to be bumped from every solid journalism job I had because they didn't want to be embarrassed or shamed by the fact that I was doing spiritual work publicly. That made me hate. Again, because of prejudice. Spirit asked me to start the school, the academy. This is the last one, and this one still comes back to burn me sometimes, though I have lawyers. Spirit asked me to build this academy, to teach people to get in touch with their roots, with their spiritual side, to learn how to connect with God and Spirit, and to get well. And I spent years building it, letting people in my home, serving them coffee and tea. They would cry on my shoulder. And I've had 12 separate students leave, steal the curriculum, go off and open up their own psychic academies after, just to make a buck. That also can make me hate sometimes. So these are just a couple of the things that happened to me that made me bitter. But the difference is I learned to quickly identify what that looks like. And I learned to stop it in its tracks. I no longer allow for people full of dark energy to come in and take over my world. This is my world. I've learned to identify their actions as their problem so that I never internalize and it doesn't take a toll on my self-esteem. One of the things I've also learned to do is to pay attention to the energy around me and predict when somebody negative is going to come in or if someone's going to try to attack me in some way. You can feel these things coming and brewing and be more on guard beforehand. And I taught myself techniques to clear that negative energy out. And if I have to do it 3, 4, 5 times a day, so be it. Then I have to do it 3, 4, 5 times a day. And sometimes I do. One of the interesting things about my dilemmas is I can't change the color of my skin. I can't change my Hispanic last name. I can't stop doing this work because this is part of my life contract. So people are always going to steal. And the childhood traumas that I went through aren't going to go away. I'll take that into my grave because you can't erase memories and abuse like that. So one of the battles that I've had is that even when I seem to have fixed it, it creeps back in. The second it's triggered by something else, it comes back around. So I've learned that the key to unconditional love and forgiveness is stamina. You have to be willing to go back and do it again and again and again and again. Nobody ever said that it was going to be easy, but it is necessary if you want to live your best life. Now, before we get into the techniques on how to do this, I'm going to have Paul give you guys a little feedback on what people wrote in. Paul, what did others say upset them?
It was a really great outpouring. It was great to see everyone getting it out instead of keeping it in. So that was good. And a lot were very similar. A lot of people said they hate when people deliberately put others in harm's way for their self-gratification or consistently fail to consider their actions' ramifications on others.
You may have to talk really loud because the air conditioner.
Okay. And, disregard the consequences of their actions. So those were like one group, that type of ignorance. People that have no follow-through. Unwillingness to grow. Big one. We got a lot of people that were talking about narcissists and narc behavior.
Okay.
So that was a handful of those. People that do not apologize. Someone strongly dislikes when someone else expects you to do work for them, be it mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. We got the standard slovenliness.
I loved that one. So one girl posted, I hate when people shuffle their feet or they walk side to side and they hog up the whole aisle in the grocery store. She had a whole list of stuff. That was great. Slovenliness.
It was good.
Yeah, it is annoying.
Thieves, which you did touch on.
Thieving, okay.
And we had a handful that were about the victimhood mentality. People cause their own drama and misfortune, then play victim. And then, similar to that, like mooches, that take advantage of your kindness and good nature to score free stuff. And oftentimes will play victim to get that.
Okay.
A bunch of abuse, child and animal abuse, and one about social injustice, victim abuse.
Okay.
When they argue for no reason other than to be right. Egomaniac. Being right often kills happiness. Entitlement.
Okay, good.
Hypocrites.
Okay.
And this was a nice statement. It said about people in general. The way I'm treated and the way I see others treated. That's why I hate people. But it's the same reason that I love people. So she sees both sides of it.
Good.
And the last one that came in just recently was nasty, mean girl behavior. Making fun of someone and mocking them with another. when someone's just trying to live life and be happy.
Let's start with that one.
Yeah.
So let's break down a couple of these categories, the things that we're dealing with. We have people who, I would put that in a category with people who want to start drama. They are so dissatisfied with themselves that they find it like a sport. They make a career, out of speaking negatively about others. They are incapable of feeling inner peace. So what they do is they look for ways to stir the pot. And that is a big part of putting others down. But it's also a more dangerous category of gossip that I think you need to watch out for. So one of the first things I want to talk to you guys about is setting boundaries with people like this. When you are trapped in a family, work, or social situation with some of these negative drama queens, I guess you could call them, they're always going to be looking to start some kind of office gossip. They've always got a problem with somebody else. The smartest thing that you can do is to distance yourself and cut out of those conversations. Don't even allow it to pollute your energy field. Now, there was also a lot of talk here of a victimhood mentality. There was talk of people being unwilling to grow. And there was talk of someone wanting you to do the spiritual work for them, wanting you to give your advice, but then they do the opposite. They don't want to do the hard work on themselves. I would say that this also fits into the category of those that want to thieve, because they're all dysfunctional in such a way where they don't want to take ownership for their own lives. They will steal, they're bottom feeders, they're greedy. Somebody else had posted there that they do spiritual work, and they don't like the people who want to get it for free all the time. One more question, one more healing, one more whatever. Right? They are unwilling to create an actual life for themselves based on their skills, and knowing that it's going to require growth and effort. They would rather just take from you. So we could call them vampires. They're going to drain you. We could say that fits very similarly in with this category of entitlement. People who feel that they earned it somehow, that you owe it to them somehow. And then we see the narcissistic sociopathic category. And this is going to lead me into the remainder of this curriculum today. Narcissistic sociopathic behavior is rampant. I thought it was bad when I was a kid. I'm shocked at what I look at today. We are talking about individuals who feel that it is completely acceptable to manipulate and victimize another person to meet their agenda and demands. They have no conscience about this whatsoever. They never feel bad, and they will actually come back and do it again and again and again if allowed. So again, with the boundaries, right? We do a class here called Relationships, Boundaries, and Cord Cutting. It's up on the website. Many of you may very well need this, especially if you're attracting those people in your close relationships, friendship and love partners. So once you set the boundary, you have to have follow through. That's the thing about a boundary that a lot of people don't understand. There has to be consequences if the boundary is violated. And narcissists and sociopaths really don't care about that boundary. They also tend to be harmful these days. I'm seeing more and more of it on a larger scale. So if they can harm groups of other people, they'll turn that hatred and manipulation even toward groups. And this is where things get more and more complicated. And this would be in the category where a few of the remarks that we got were putting others at risk. They don't care about putting others at risk. They don't care. You have people racing up and down the streets. You people don't care about the speed limit. They don't care about the environment. They don't care about others' health and well-being. They just don't care. Ignorance is another big issue. I talked about all the racism that I had to deal with growing up and still now. Ignorance toward those that are gay or trans or people that are sexist, racist. There are all kinds of weird phobias and these strange conspiracy theories going around that are getting bigger and bigger and more popular. It's becoming like there are little cults, forming. And we have to understand that at the root of those issues, we have some very mentally ill people, and we have to treat them as though they're mentally ill. And we need to set boundaries with them as though they're mentally ill. We have to be careful. What I believe is actually happening, let's talk about what's going on with all of this, okay? My belief system is this, and this will help you to distance yourself from others. You don't need to take anything personally. You don't need to even feel like it was an attack specifically on you if someone else hurt you. Because the bottom line is this: we are all wide open channels and vessels. The human experience is that of energy. And the energy that we are can be manipulated at any point. Positive spirits from the universe, positive energies from the universe can enter into us and help us to do positive healing things for others. But negative, lower, and dark energies can also enter into us and cause us to do negative, hurtful, murderous things toward others. So this isn't letting anyone off the hook, what I'm saying to you right now. What I'm doing is explaining how it gets in. Now, it's always a choice to let it in, to feed it, to let it fester. That's an individual's free will. But we are all at risk all the time. It could be us at any moment. This is why you have to be mindful every day. Where are my thoughts? Where are my feelings? How are my actions? Has dark energy gotten into me because I'm a channel, I'm a human being, I'm an energy source? Has dark energy been manipulating me and I've chosen to feed that negativity? What are you going to do? Then we're going to talk about how to clear all of this out. But I have found that it's easier for me to stop looking at human beings as though they're people. I just look at human beings as though they're energy that is manipulated all the time. And people are either going to do good things with that or they're going to do bad things with that. So I've learned to detach that way. Now, what do we do? Okay, what do we do if there's negative energy that has built up in you and you want to get it out? We can do some simple exercises. One of the things that I would recommend, again, is the relationships, boundaries, and cord cutting class. You may want to cut some cords with that hatred. You can cut cords with sugar. You can cut cords with a smoking problem or an addiction or a relationship. But you may need to go that far. Essentially, though, what we're going to do right here is that. Okay. So when we are talking about cleansing, you need to understand that at the root of the hatred is fear. We have two different kinds of people who hate. We have reactionary haters who say, I hate people. But they're actually lovers. They hate being victimized. They hate looking at others and watching others being treated like garbage. They're actually lovers. But they say, I hate people. So you have reactionary haters, you have active haters. You have people that are full of darkness, full of that negativity, that paranormal activity. They may have attachments, they may be possessed, and they are actively hating and trying to destroy people by turning them into victims. That's what they're going to go after. So when you're clearing out hatred, bitterness, unforgiveness from your heart, the first place you need to go is to fear. You need to look inside yourself and you need to say, where do I feel fear? Where do I feel like I've been victimized? Where do I feel aggression toward others? Now, if you break this down, it's pretty obvious where it came from and why you would feel a resistance to it. Then you're going to move on to part 2 of the exercise. And that is examining it in sort of an objective way, being more of an observer and less of an absorber. You want to look at all of that information and you want to say, okay, what have I learned from this? Well, A, obviously you learned never to act like that yourself, I would hope. Okay, maybe B, you've learned when to spot it in someone so that you can avoid it. You've probably learned a lot of things. So what you want to do is write down all of the things that you learned from it. Now, what you did in that second part of the exercise is you have now taken negative energy and you have converted it into positive energy, wisdom, strength that you could put back out into the world. This is huge. Then what you want to do as a part 3 is to identify. And sometimes this can take a little time. I tell people to do this as a ceremony. You want to then identify who made you feel that way, who did that to you. You want to visualize that person. You can close your eyes and visualize them in front of you. If you can, look up into their face and their eyes. Do that. And you want to say, I release you from the anger. I forgive you. I thank you for the lesson and the strength that I've gained from what you did to me. And I am sending you awareness. And you send them light. You release them. What is awareness? Okay, that is them working with the universe, having to be shown what's right and wrong. As you send them away and you send them light, you're cleansing it out of your energy field. And that's really all there is to it. Okay, now the faster you get at this, the easier your awareness is because you're being mindful. It doesn't take a whole ceremony. I do it like a tick. The minute people start to tick me off, I just go, no. I visualize it and I send. Get away from me, okay, is part of what I'm doing. I'm really sending them off, but I'm sending them awareness. And I am releasing and I'm saying, this is the lesson that I'm learning from it right now. And I'm quicker on my feet to make sure that when I feel that energy coming in toward me, I'm handling it before it even arrives. So that it doesn't even necessarily require that. Okay, but sometimes this is multiple times a day that you have to do this. Now remember, this is not about them. This is about you. You came to Earth with a life contract. You signed on to do certain things before you came here. You want to accomplish those things so that you're not reincarnating and doing this over and over and over again. You want to accomplish those things so that you're not just surviving and living for yourself, but you're actually thriving and having something to give out to the world. You want to accomplish these things because it's the right thing to do for you. And you can't allow other people to victimize you and prevent you from doing that. And the only way to accomplish it is to get that nasty energy out of your heart and your head and your energy field, or they will snuff out your light. We can't give them that power. So this isn't about them. This is about you. Do we have any questions or comments? I should have mentioned that in the beginning, that we'll be answering any kind of questions or problems that people have. Is there a specific area that you've struggled with and maybe you need some advice on how to get past it? You have some remarks there? Okay, because I did want to say one more thing. Okay. One of the things to understand is that when you get angry like that. You're feeding your ego. You're feeding fear. And when you feed fear, you get cut off from the right side of your brain, which is the intuitive side. And you end up very reactionary. You end up not thinking, not processing, just acting. Sort of like fight or flight response. And you're only really connected to the left side of your brain, the logical thinking side of your brain. And we can't really make the best decisions from that place. As soon as you get anxious or fearful, you stop hearing from your higher mind, your gut instinct, your psychic ability, the spirits and ancestors, God. Everyone's there to give you that direction and support. So that's just another reason to clear out. A lot of people come to me and they say, I'm drenched in crystals and I drink my crystal water and I do Reiki once a week and I do this and I got my singing bowl collection. Why don't I feel comfortable, with spirit? Why don't I feel like I'm communicating with spirit? I go to the lake every day. I do Epsom salt in my shower. Why? It could be this. This is the number one block to spirit communication. Is there something deep down in your heart that you have been allowing to remain because you think you're justified? You are justified in feeling that way, but you are not allowed to let it fester. Clear this out. You will hear from the right side of your brain. I also just wanted to say this. I don't know if there are questions. We'll just keep them waiting one more second here. But also, something else that you guys can easily do, if you're not big on the ceremonial thing that I mentioned, maybe you don't want to take, that much time. There it goes again. You can do something very simple called a body scan. Now, a body scan is when you close your eyes and you go inward from the top of your head slowly down to the bottom of your feet. And as you're doing this, you're looking for tension, anxiety, anger, negative thoughts, maybe depression, self-loathing. These are the things that come from being victimized. And these are the things that come along with hatred. And just watch your body and where it might be building up in your energy. And what you could do is take that and form that into a ball and exhale that negative energy out. Okay. Do we have any questions or comments?
Yeah, bunch. Okay. So related to forgiveness, Ashley says that it sounds easier said than done for those who struggle with so much hurt over time.
Is that it?
That's all she said, yeah.
Okay, well, we can't have, you would fit into the victimhood mentality. You would fit into one of these people that says, well, I can't do it. It's easier said than done. That's like I'll post, something on social media that's very empowering, but it does require that you do the work. And I get people with crying emojis and they say easier said than done. Well, gee, I wish I could have that. You're never going to have it until you do the work. Now, you were just given every tool, so it's not easier said than done. It is a guarantee that you could do it, but the real issue is that you don't want to yet. So I am one of those people that's been hurt repeatedly. Again, I can't change the color of my skin. I can't change my name. I will always be a minority female in America. I am constantly taking beatings for this line of work that I'm in. There's no way that I ever escape it. Every day for me is a battle. Yet I'm sitting here telling you that I do this and I'm teaching other people to do it. So it's not easier said than done. You are either a victim or you are a winner and you're self-empowered. It's a choice you make. Right now you just maybe didn't make the right one.
Denise asks, how does resentment fit into this?
Resentment is the same thing. That's not one of the words I used, but we would say resentment, bitterness, unforgiveness. What other words have we used? We should put that in the hashtag, though. Resentment. Yes, we will add that to the hashtag. So resentment is the same thing, It's just your way of finding almost like another title for it. Resentment is essentially you feeling that someone did not give you what you were deserving of, or they took something from you, you somehow feel cheated by this person or situation. And yes, resentment is the same as unforgiveness. At the same time, I will say this. When you start to feel resentful against someone, let's go back to the boundary part of this curriculum. Set boundaries. Because if you continue to expose yourself to someone who's going to make you resentful because they're not giving you what you're deserving of having, right? Or they're taking something from you that they shouldn't, you're allowing yourself to become a victim by staying in that circumstance.
Pinta said it took her a long time to complete this and forgive for herself, but after she did, she was lifted to feel better, and the prosperity came.
And the prosperity came.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. It's pretty remarkable how it is like a light switch. So for so many people, they don't understand that when that light switch is off, the only reason you have no prosperity, from your relationships to networking, probably to your money, it could be to your mental well-being, emotional, and your health, it is because there's a block in the way. There is something that has turned that off. So there's no flow of energy there. And we clean this out and immediately on, like in a second, in a heartbeat. Sometimes you don't even have to go through the whole exercise. Sometimes it's just that you identify it, and Spirit's like, that's enough right there. And here come your blessings. It is immediate. Mm-hmm.
We have another one to add to slovenliness, if you want to hear it.
Okay.
Joseph says, is it bad that I hate how my girlfriend clips her toenails and leaves the toenail clippings lying around?
No.
Then he says, I don't know how to forgive her for doing that. I don't know, that's unforgivable.
Don't ask me, because that would be it. Should be out the door. That's divorce right there. I don't know. Yeah. Well, and that's funny because while he's joking and it's hilarious and totally gross, and like so many people, you have to get used to people's gross habits. It's also about looking at those that we love and we've decided we are going to tolerate. And it's about saying very honestly, did this person do this to me on purpose? Did she go into your side of the bed and clip her toenails and lay them under the cover so that's a or, was it just something she maybe isn't super mindful of? So, while we want to see people putting in effort, and we do need to be honest in communication about what we need and want, we also have to be realistic. Is someone doing this to be harmful, or are they just unaware? And that can make forgiveness a lot easier too. So that was part of the curriculum that I didn't get to yet, and a really, really good point. Mm-hmm. What is the motive? Is that it?
That's it.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope this was helpful. I would love your feedback. And catch us for a couple of the upcoming free mini classes, Dreams, Symbols, and Deja Vus on Sunday the 31st at 8, and Feelings versus Intuition, how not to make decisions from a place of emotion, how to do it from your gut instinct. And we will have special guest Christina Del Rey, our astrologer, on to show you when the planetary shifts can really affect your emotions and cause you to make some bad decisions. That's going to be Wednesday, June 3rd at 8 p.m. Take care, everybody.